Hi, I'm Jenny Kanoki. I'm going to apologize in advance if I cough or my voice sounds a little raspy. It is May, we're in education, and my body is just giving in. So, without further ado, here's my Module 12 case study. So to summarize the case, I am the principal and teacher evaluations are nearing for their deadline. I am pretty proud of the staff that I have. All of my teachers, they're pretty compliant and evaluations are going well, except for one teacher, Mrs. Stevens, who regularly has had low evaluations. Her classroom management skills just seem to be lacking. The students aren't necessarily disrespectful to her, but they are not showing complete respect to her by answering questions and giving them her attention. When I have a conference with her, she is curt and hostile, and the conference just does not go well. So my final recommendation is for us not to rehire her because I don't feel like her current teaching status promotes student success. Mrs. Stevens was not happy with my decision and she warns a fight. So, has anyone been harmed by the action or decision of another? There's not been any physical harm. Mrs. Stevens may emotionally disagree with me and feel harmed, like I have insulted her teaching career, but I have not harmed her as in the eyes of the court. Does the action or the situation contravene an existing law? No laws have been broken. Was there a breach in contract? Well, in contract, teachers are supposed to, ensure student success and teach them. At this point, Mrs. Stevens, she's not intentionally breaching contract, especially in the eyes of a courtroom, but in the eyes of student success and how we are to be promoting students and getting them ready for a college pathways career, that goal is not being met at this time. So to summarize what is going on in one sentence, through the multiple poor evaluation results of a teacher, accompanied by our disheartening conversation that we had, I am recommending that Mrs. Stevens' contract not be renewed. So the known facts. Right now, the people that are involved that I know of so far in the case are myself, Mrs. Stevens, and the students in her classroom. What is unknown, how long have I been teaching? How long has Mrs. Stevens been, how long have I been the principal? How long has Mrs. Stevens been teaching? How old are the students? What grade level? What content is she teaching? How present am I in the building? Do I just come out of my office for evaluations or am I out and about in the building? How supportive is my feedback? How do the other teachers feel about my feedback? Am I just going through the motions and clicking through my evaluations, or am I really sitting there and trying to gather, the feel of the room, the content that is being taught, the student engagement? What is the level of my feedback that I provide to all teachers? The place, we know that is in a school building. That's about it. We do not know the size, whether it is a public or a private school. The grade, is there more than one school in the district? What is the teacher retention rate at that school? The program, there were no known facts given. It did not mention anything about collaboration or in-services or professional development. The unknown facts, does Mrs. Stevens have a co-teacher at that grade level? Do the teachers have support or mentor teachers? Can the teachers observe each other? Do principals receive evaluations as well? So Section 5, review and prioritize the information. Could the conflict, the situation, or the decision be damaging to stakeholders and the community? Possibly. It does not say how well liked Mrs. Stevens is. She may not be meeting the content standards, but do the students have a relationship with her outside of that? Is she a coach somewhere in the school that has a relationship with students and she's very well valued in the community? How does the board view her and the other staff members? Is she very well liked in the school? That was not given. Have all the relevant stakeholders been consulted? Not in my opinion. It did not say whether I have had a meeting with my superintendent or the Board of Education. Have I met, if there are other principals in the district, have I met with them and discussed how their evaluations are going? I would love to learn more about this situation and get more details about the school district itself and what I have for my options with this teacher. Do I know enough to make a decision? Technically, yes. Based off of the evaluations that I have given Mrs. Stevens, she has not been meeting the academic standards for school-wide improvement in student success. However, I think in the situation of this, and given the way Mrs. Stevens reacted and her point of view on my evaluations, it would be wise if I would seek out extra support before putting through this first recommendation. So the options that I have identified, option 1, I can stick with my decision without any changes. I've made multiple observations without any improvement. My conference with Mrs. Stevens was pretty disheartening. There was not a positive commitment to growth from her. Student success is not being met on an academic level. And so, we could say that our pre-K through 12 goals of getting students ready for the college and career pathways, that right now these students have lost out on a year's worth of growth with Mrs. Stevens. And as I have said, I feel very good about my other teachers. Mrs. Stevens' evaluation is really the only one that I am struggling with. So I could just stick with my decision and push for her to not be rehired and instead hire someone in her place. The second option that I could use is I could retract my evaluation and avoid the conflict with Mrs. Stevens that she warned that she might cause. I could recommend that her contract be renewed instead. She is knowledgeable in her content area. She knows what she's talking about. It's not that she lacks academic knowledge. It's more classroom management. I could hope that next year's class is more compliant and that they just seek out an academic interest and that the year flows smoother. I could avoid providing feedback and just kind of take a happy medium approach, basically try not to poke the bear and just give her feedback that keeps her quiet and happy. And then I could secretly create professional development that is aimed directly at her or towards classroom management without telling her. So I would not be having open lines of communication necessarily, but I would be trying to have school-wide improvements still. Option number 3, I could meet on common ground with goals. I could acquire permission from the superintendent and the Board of Education to grant Mrs. Stevens another year of evaluation. I really don't want to go straight to tenure, but I don't know if necessarily letting her go right now is the right answer. Mrs. Stevens could commit to a growth plan. She could agree to have to observe a mentor teacher. I could set her up with somebody else in the school, or if it is a bigger district, someone within the district that we feel is at her level with the same age of students and has great classroom management skills. The student success measures are identified, so we need to sit down and make some goals about, what are our goals for the students? How are we going to measure their success? What are the things that I am looking for in evaluations to gauge student success? Evaluations need to be conducted by more than just me in this coming year. I would like to have the superintendent, or if there are other principals in the district, I would like to have them also come in and do evaluations. Because point blank, Mrs. Stevens said that, she can't teach with someone in the back of the room. Nobody really likes being evaluated, but you have to. That is just the way it goes. In order to keep pushing yourself and challenging yourself and growing and working towards, creativity and student success and being a lifelong learner, you have to be challenged and you need to be evaluated. And so whether she likes it or not, if she wants to stay at my building, she needs to find a way to make her evaluations more successful so that we can gauge her student success. And so I would recommend that I'm going to continue to evaluate her, but I would like other people to evaluate her as well. Maybe I need to learn some evaluation tips. Maybe there's something that I need to do a little bit differently in her and I's relationship to help evaluations go a little bit smoother. But evaluations with me, if she's going to stay at this school, cannot just cease. So to weigh the pros and cons of the options, option number 1, where I stick with my decision to not rehire her, the pros are Mrs. Stevens she will not get tenure she is the teacher right now. I would have the chance to hire a new teacher that would fit to the mold that I want in my school. My evaluations would have weight still with teachers. They would know that when I come in, that I mean business and that these evaluations mean something to me and to the board. The cons to that, there could be possible backlash. Like I said, I do not know how Mrs. Stevens is viewed with the students, the staff, or the community. There could be a possible court case. It would paint me in the eyes of a my way or the highway type of manner, and wouldn't make me look like I am willing to sit down and take multiple plans or ideas. Option number 2, the pros, to retract my evaluation and avoid conflict. I don't think there are any pros to that. Some would say, well, avoiding a court case is a pro. You can't live your life just trying not to be sued. I'm not saying go out there and just make any, legal decision, but you have to bring down the hammer sometimes. And if you're afraid to bring down the hammer because you don't want to avoid a court case, then you probably shouldn't be a leader. The cons, there would be no growth encouragement. Evaluations lose their meaning because I would be saying, oh, okay, a teacher disagreed with me. Okay, I retract my evaluation. Student success would be in jeopardy because you're going to continue to just hire the same teachers that are already not meeting student success. The option number 3, the pros, opportunity to grow for both myself and Mrs. Stevens. The teachers can collaborate. We can come up with some new school ideas as a staff, perhaps, that would go towards school-wide improvement. The cons, the staff might not be supportive. How do they feel about Mrs. Stevens? We don't know. They might want her, to not be rehired. Will Mrs. Stevens grow just enough to get tenure, or will she really put it all in? We don't know. I choose option number 3. I believe that student success would be the main focus point. It would promote growth and adaptability from both Mrs. Stevens and also myself. I believe that there's something that I could learn about evaluations and relationships through this process. It would respect the teachers' voices, that, it's not just my way or the highway, that, if they disagree or they have a different point of view, that I'm willing to listen to that and, see things from their eyes. It would incorporate collaboration within staff members, and it would hold all parties accountable for our part in the school and in the evaluation process. So my option that I choose is option number 3. So I would like to meet with Mrs. Stevens. Granted, this is saying that the superintendent and the board agrees to not just push her to tenure, that they say, yes, she can have another year of evaluation. We would outline the requirements for student success. All evaluations done by me, the superintendent, perhaps other principals, they would be on the same format, the same evaluation, and we would keep documentation of that. I want to include Mrs. Stevens in on the goal setting. What is the type of student success we are looking for? What are the noticeable changes and goals that she can have a little checklist saying, yes, I am meeting these goals. I want to set up a meeting with a mentor teacher, let the mentor teacher know, not let her know maybe what's at stake, but just let her know, like, hey, this teacher is wanting to grow, and I think you are a great candidate to help her do that. And then we need to schedule follow-up meetings to analyze the progress. We shouldn't just meet, this May and be like, okay, we'll follow up again in May. There needs to be, steps. Let's meet in August and go over this again. Then let's meet, in the middle of September and meet throughout the year to see how we are aligning our goals. So implementing my decision. If my plan doesn't work, so hopefully it does work, and Mrs. Stevens, she agrees and she grows, and, it's a great learning process for both of us. If it doesn't, if she does not comply and she says that, she's not willing to do any of that she is doing fine, then I'm going to go through with my recommendation to not rehire her. If she does take it, but after a year the goals still are not met, I will meet with the other evaluators and we will make a decision whether we should hire her for tenure or not. If either situation above happens and we come to an agreement, then a new teacher will be hired in her place that we feel will help us keep reaching toward school improvement. I would like some more information on this case. I would hope that I have a better relationship established with my other teachers than I do with Mrs. Stevens. But nonetheless, being a school leader is not always easy, and sometimes that means making hard decisions and putting your foot down for student success. Thank you for watching.